Joining me now is the former Resources Minister Keith Pitt. Thanks for joining us, Keith. Do you believe that Scott Morrison should resign from the Parliament over these revelations?
Chris, great with your viewers. There's plenty of commentary running around. I've got to say, a lot of it's more bold than it is informed.
Well, hang on, this is more than commentary. This is the former Home Affairs Minister, Karen Andrews. She's a player in this, and she says he should leave the Parliament. Is she right?
Well, that's a decision for Scott himself. He is the member for Cook. As everyone in the House of Representatives is, first and foremost, they're there to represent their communities and their electorate. And he was duly elected, and that's entirely a matter for him. I think he's still got a contribution to make. I'm sure there'll be plenty of others who've got a different view, but fundamentally, we brought the country through a really tough, very tough period.
You certainly did, and at the very least then, do these revelations sully the legacy of Scott Morrison?
Oh, look, I think there'll be plenty of additional commentary. I'm sure there'll be more inquiries. And, if Anthony Albanese wants a Royal Commission, well, I certainly support that. But it should be across the board and all levels of government, as you said in your editorial.
I'll come back to that in a moment, but I want to talk about accountability here. Let's have a look at something else Anthony Albanese had to say today.
It's undermined our democracy. It's an attack on the Westminster system of parliamentary democracy as we know it. And not just Mr Morrison, but others who are involved in this need to be held to account.
When he says others need to be held to account, one might presume he'd be talking about yourself and Greg Hunt, because you're the only two ministers who actually knew about these shadow arrangements. Perhaps you, in hindsight, should have made them public.
Oh, I'm absolutely confident in all the decisions I made as a minister. I've got no issues with that at all. And Mr Albanese is welcome to do whatever he pleases. But I mean, this is the Labor government who first order of business was to change the standing orders to gag Australia's democracy in the House of Reps and stop people from speaking after 10 p.m. if some minister somewhere decides a bill is urgent. I mean, I don't know that he can drag on about our democracy when they do actions like that in the Parliament. But it's up to them.
Hang on a second.
I welcome it.
Well, but the point is that this is staggering stuff. You had the Treasurer of this nation, Josh Frydenberg, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party, and he didn't even know that his Prime Minister, his leader, was also sworn in as Treasurer through last year.
Well, I had no knowledge of other portfolios, as you'd expect. They are kept siloed. I mean, Josh was a member of the leadership team, as were other members of the coalition. My focus was on what I was doing and making sure that I did a good job and I met all of the requirements that were required of me.
But hang on a second. You were trying to do a good job on the application for a gas exploration permit, and Scott Morrison got himself sworn in into the same ministry and overruled you effectively.
Oh, Chris, there's plenty of people buying into that decision, but as you know, I can't make public comment on a matter that's currently being appealed before the court. And I think that's not unreasonable. I know people are frustrated with that as a position, but it is one that's long held and with good reason. I mean, we've got to respect the court system, and that's what I intend to do.
Yeah, now you mentioned the Royal Commission. I think we really need to get into the issues of governance here and medical advice and surrendering power to the bureaucracy and all the rest of it. There needs to be a Royal Commission that looks at national cabinet, national decisions and state by state. Is that possible to set up a federal Royal Commission that can look across at state government decisions as well?
Well, in terms of the constitutional provision, I'd have to say I'm uncertain, but I can't see any reason why you couldn't make those inquiries and ask people to appear. I mean, you look at some of the decisions that were made. Premier Palaszczuk stopped people from going to hospitals, for example. I mean, you couldn't see your oncologist or your cardiologist. You couldn't get cancer treatment because you're on the wrong side of a line. Victoria, as you know, were locked down for months and had some of the strictest curfews in the world. So, look, I'd welcome a Royal Commission throughout the pandemic. I think it is in everyone's interest to make sure that if this ever happens again, that we do have an appropriate, robust mechanism to deal with all of these issues, particularly in regards to our federation. As you know, it was incredibly challenging. Premiers did a range of things and they were varied depending on which state you were in. And I would absolutely welcome a Royal Commission into the pandemic response, but it's got to look at all levels of government, not just one.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on there, Keith. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be there.
Keith Pitt there, former Resources Minister, one of the ministers who was shadowed secretly by the Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Keith Pitt found out about that, though, when the Prime Minister intervened on a decision. I think a Royal Commission is a must, but it must look at state governments. It must have the power to look at all those state government decisions. And what we need to see through that Royal Commission is some of the often cited but never seen medical advice upon which all these over-the-top decisions were based.